This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Stick around to the end of the video for a special offer they're making available through my channel. Hello and welcome to This Week in Videogames, the show that's perfectly explained by the title. I'm your host, Shillup. Let's take a look at the news. This week, Oprah sat down with Wait, that's not gaming. This week, the European Union gave their blessing to the marriage of Microsoft and Bethesda. While the acquisition was announced last year, it had to go through all sorts of regulatory checks because the European Parliament are very excited for Elder Scrolls 6, and they want to make sure this merger won't affect development. The deal was approved, paving the way for Microsoft and Bethesda to officially begin their partnership. If you're wondering how this will affect the availability of Bethesda games on PlayStation and Nintendo consoles, you're not alone. No one knows how this will go, but back in November, Microsoft's Chief Financial Officer Tim Stewart said they were likely to adopt a first or better approach, meaning that PlayStation or Nintendo fans will probably get their hands on Bethesda releases, they just come later or be missing some content. I feel like if I spent $7.5 billion acquiring a publisher, I'd want to get my money's worth as well, so Microsoft's approach sounds like a better compromise than just making all the titles straight up exclusives. It's not all good news for Xbox though. This week, Xbox finally acknowledged an issue with the Xbox Series controllers, which could end up being quite expensive for them. The face buttons sometimes don't register, which is a big deal because we kind of need those to work in order to play our games. Microsoft put out a statement this week saying, quote, "We are aware some players may be experiencing unresponsiveness with their new Xbox wireless controllers, and our teams are actively working on a solution. This isn't exactly encouraging since it feels like a fix is a long way off, so in the meantime just hold on to your receipts and contact customer support if it affects you." Anyway, back to acquisition news. This week, Epic bought Mediatonic, creators of Fall Guys. This fits neatly into Epic's portfolio since they love games that have that really broad appeal, which is why they bought Psyonix, makers of Rocket League, a few years back. A lot of people really hate Epic, I know, but Epic have a lot of cash to splash, and Mediatonic want to use that cash to make their game better. They've already talked about adding new things to Fall Guys like account systems, crossplay, squad vs squad game modes, and other stuff, so that's all good. In their FAQ, they also talk about going free to play, saying, quote, "Nothing to announce right now!" exclamation mark. So given that statement, plus the fact that Epic are all about free to play, I'm sure we can expect free to play Fall Guys sooner rather than later. Here's a fun one. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick, whose company includes Rockstar and the library of 2K sports titles, has some thoughts about how next-gen games should be priced. Take-Two booked about $3 billion in revenue in 2020, owing in large part to the microtransactions crammed into GTA Online, Red Dead Online, and NBA 2K21. At a recent Morgan Stanley conference, Strauss was speaking about the $70 price tag for next-gen games, where he commented, quote, "I think consumers are ready for it." Personally, I'm ready for Strauss Zelnick to fuck off. While we're on the topic of microtransactions, it might please some of you to learn that the Germans aren't having it. Their parliament just passed one of the most aggressive anti-loot box pieces of legislation in the world, banning the sale of loot boxes to minors and adding a whole bunch of requirements if you want to sell games with loot boxes in them. This is great because while adults should be free to spend their money on whatever they please, within reason, loot boxes are manipulative and predatory, taking advantage of young people in particular who haven't figured out just how much of a scam all this is. In fact, there are many studies that link loot boxes to problem gambling, so efforts to keep children away from this stuff can only be a good thing. The law is still waiting final approval, but will likely come into effect in the next few months. Hopefully, other countries will follow suit. Okay, this is a really weird one. There's this game called The Sinking City. It's a sort of janky detective game made by Frogwares, and it was originally published by Nacon. Back in 2019, Frogwares sued Nacon because it claimed that Nacon was withholding payments, and the lawsuit got so messy that Frogwares pulled their game from Steam. The court ended up temporarily ruling in Nacon's favor, saying that the game should return to Steam while the broader legal battle plays out. For reasons unknown, Frogwares didn't go along with that, and so the game remained unavailable until last week when it mysteriously returned to Steam, available for purchase. The thing is, Frogwares didn't put that version up. What happened was that Nacon had hacked and pirated the game so that they could then upload it to Steam. The developer Frogwares actually released a 10-minute video on their official YouTube channel explaining how Nacon did this. Frogwares DMCA struck their own game on Steam to take it down, which Valve complied with because that's always how they play these sorts of disputes. So that's where we're at. A publisher pirates the game they published to upload it to Steam, and then a developer copyright struck the game they made to take it down from Steam. It's crazy. More on this story as it develops. Alright, let's switch gears. Nintendo Switch gears. Switching to the Nintendo Switch thing. They're making a Nintendo Switch Pro. Yes, it's been rumored for a long time now, but details are coming into sharp relief. Bloomberg published a report that Nintendo had locked in an order for new screens from Samsung. The screens are 7-inch, so they're larger than the current 6.2-inch, and let me tell you, that makes all the difference. They remained 720p, but they are OLED, which is going to result in brighter colors and sharper contrast than the current screen. The report also says that we can expect the Switch Pro to support 4K resolutions when it's docked, so it's going to be interesting to see how they make that happen. Most concerning, the report says that Nintendo are only looking to ship around 1 million units during the launch window. Do you have any idea how fast that will sell out? My god, if you thought it was hard to get your hands on a PS5, you haven't seen anything yet. Anyway, no dates on this, of course, no official announcements, but you can expect this thing to launch sometime around October onwards. There was more console news, sort of, coming from Sony, who have begun their ramp up for the release of the next PSVR headset. There was a blog post a few weeks back that confirmed it was on the way, and it also confirmed that the new headset will attach with a single cord and will have newly designed controllers. This week we got some insight into what those controllers might be. Bananas, or tennis balls, or coffee cups, or whatever the hell you want. Sony have submitted a patent for technology that uses the camera in the headset to scan an object and then track its position as you hold it. This will allow you to use those items as controllers, so you're gonna have people holding salami sticks while they're playing through Doom 3 VR, which incidentally just got released for the PS4 VR. Anyway, this is weird, but I hope this tech makes it into existence because I expect some very wild, not safe for work streams if we can start using any inanimate object of our choosing as a video game controller. I saved the best for last. You're gonna love this one. Marvel's Avengers. Remember that? Pepperidge Farm remembers. This week, Crystal Dynamics put out a blog post where they announced, and I shit you not, they were planning to make their game more grindy. They said people were leveling up too fast and players were getting confused by all the new skill points they were getting, so to reduce this confusion, Crystal Dynamics were slowing down leveling so it would take you longer to get from level 25 to max level. The idea that skill points in this game are confusing when Avengers has like 85 different game currencies that you need to keep track of, it's a little rich. Unsurprisingly, the community wasn't having it, so the developers put out another post where they basically said the same thing again, only with more words, and everyone continued to just laugh at them and shake their heads. Don't worry though, because this week, Crystal Dynamics announced that the AI harm room would get an upgrade courtesy of Intel. Yes, there is now a game feature in Marvel's Avengers that exists with a big corporate logo on it. Hideo Kojima would be very proud. So, what got announced or delayed this week? Well, coming in from out of nowhere was the reveal of Alien's Fireteam. This has been in the works since about 2018 when Cold Iron Studios got their hands on the license. Since then, ownership of the studio has changed 5 times, but the development of the game has continued, and this week IGN gave us a first look at the gameplay, which looks a lot more like Aliens than Alien. You'll play as a member of a 3-person squad making your way through various hot zones, clearing out xenomorphs and Wayland Yutani synthetics. Hopefully, they will explode in big geysers of that creepy robot milk when you shoot them. Gameplay-wise, it's looking very Gears of War-esque, which is a nice fit for the license. No release date on this yet, but it's coming this year to PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. Before Marvel's Avengers, Crystal Dynamics made good games, and soon 3 of those games are going to be bundled together and sold at what we can expect is a good price. The Tomb Raider Survivor trilogy hasn't been announced per se, but it was all but confirmed when the product page went live on the Xbox storefront before it was quickly removed. The pack contains all 3 games plus all the DLC, and it will most likely be out very soon, on March 18th in fact, on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox consoles. Elite Dangerous is getting ever closer to its next major update titled Odyssey. The expansion has been in development for a number of years and was recently delayed some. This week the developers announced that an alpha will kick off on March 29th, available to those who picked up Odyssey's Deluxe Alpha Edition. The expansion itself is set to launch sometime in the next few months, but you don't call a test like this an alpha when you're just a few short months from launch, so I don't know, if I were an Elite Dangerous fan, I might brace for another delay, especially if something goes majorly wrong during the alpha window. The final announcement was that a third-person Dungeons & Dragons game is currently in development with Hidden Path Entertainment, the team that worked with Valve to create Counter-Strike Global Offensive. They're labeling it a AAA, third-person, open-world fantasy RPG, and that's literally all we know about it at this point. Don't expect a release anytime soon. We also got some delay announcements this week as well. The juiciest one was that the next Need for Speed game is being delayed because the studio behind it, Criterion, are being pulled off the game and put onto, wait for it, the next Battlefield game. EA made the reveal during an interview with Polygon where EA's chief studio officer Laura Miele said that due to COVID they need to shuffle things around a bit. This excuse doesn't make much sense to me though, because it was only last month that EA CFO Blake Jorgensen told everyone that Battlefield was progressing way ahead of schedule. It's almost like you can't trust a man who asked for his $9 million pay packet to be more than doubled to $19.5 million. A move so greedy that even the shareholders were like, I don't know about this, man. That is a thing that actually happened, by the way. He really asked for his pay packet to be doubled. I mean, what do you say? Anyway, no Need for Speed this year. Criterion will get back on it after Battlefield ships this year, so expect a new Need for Speed in 2022. If anyone out there was looking forward to the Watch Dogs Legion multiplayer mode, anyone? Bueller? Anyway, it's been delayed indefinitely, but it's not as bad as it sounds. Ubisoft said they found a bug that caused the game to crash when running on certain GPUs, so they're holding it back until that bug is fixed. This excuse is also really weird to me, because as if bugs have ever stopped Ubisoft from shipping something before. Maybe they're turning over a new leaf here, I'm not sure. Either way, I'll let you know when the mode does eventually become available. And finally, a legit bummer for fighting game fans. Guilty Gear Strive was delayed to June 11. This is disappointing because the fighting games community really loved what they played of Strive. I'm not a part of that scene at all, but their enthusiasm was just spilling all over the place, so you couldn't help but get a little on you. The developers are taking the extra time to polish the game, which can only be a good thing, given how pumped people are. So what came out last week? Well, not a lot. Loop Hero was the biggest release, and you might not have heard of it because it's a small indie title, but it's made a very large splash. It's currently sitting in the mid-80s for both critic score and user score on Metacritic, which is a very respectable outcome. The Gamer scored it a 90, saying, quote, I tend to criticize games when they make me run around in circles, but I'm more than willing to make an exception for Loop Hero, while PC Gamer scored it an 83, saying, quote, this is the sort of smart, focused resurrection of old games I want more of. Loop Hero is out now exclusive to Steam. The other release was puzzle game Maquette, one of the free games this month if you're a PS Plus subscriber. This one didn't ring out in the way that most other Annapurna Interactive releases do. The game is hovering in the mid-60s on Metacritic. The Guardian enjoyed it, scoring it an 80, saying that Maquette is more familiar, following the tradition of indie games that link high-concept puzzle solving with romantic introspection. And IGN scored it a 70, saying, quote, Maquette is a clever and gorgeous puzzle game, even if it doesn't push the boundaries of its recursive concept very far past that initial sense of wonder. So last week was not a big week for new releases, but this week is even more quiet. There's like nothing coming out, like nothing at all. Okay, well, not quite nothing. There are some ports here to enjoy. Apex Legends arrives on Nintendo Switch today. That's good news since Apex Legends is both excellent and it's free. So if you don't mind playing with Joy-Cons, go for your life. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time is also arriving on new platforms. PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and the Nintendo Switch are getting a version of Crash 4, which is great because Crash 4 is legitimately excellent. So if you haven't played it yet, I very much recommend checking it out. Finally, Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning is a remaster of the sort of classic RPG. It was previously available on other platforms, but it's arriving on the Switch on the 16th. And that's pretty much all the releases for the week. Like I said, not a big week in terms of... Whoa, stop the presses, guys. I'm really sorry. I nearly missed the biggest release of March, but thankfully, I got an email just then from Google's head of Stadia, Phil Harrison, telling me that Monster Energy Supercross 4 is releasing March 11. A game so next generation that it manages to squeeze its corporate sponsor into the title of the game. Supercross 4 is coming to all platforms and is in fact Stadia's only release for the month of March, which is why Phil was hammering my inbox. Man, I really need to set up a spam filter for that stuff. Put this on your radar. Devolver Digital nailed it this month with Loop Hero, and I expect they'll do the same thing again soon when Boomerang X releases. Now, I know this looks weird, but I played the demos since there's one up on Steam at the moment, and I went from being totally disinterested in this to being like, yes, I need more of this, give it to me right now. It's an arena-based shooter where you throw a boomerang to defeat enemies, but you can teleport to the boomerang's location or recall it early and you can slow down time and just heaps of shit. It was simple to grasp, but it's clear that there's a lot of depth to its mechanics, and I can't wait to see YouTube videos of speedrunners just demolishing these arenas. Boomerang X is coming exclusively to Steam, but this feels like something that will eventually make its way to consoles as well. No release date yet, but stay tuned, I'll let you know when it's out, and don't forget to check out the demo if this tickles your fancy. Sort of free stuff time, only this week it's a little dull since everyone kind of blew their load last week. One thing I forgot to mention was that in addition to the PS Plus games available this month, Sony are also giving away a copy of Ratchet & Clank PS4. It's just free, like no strings attached, nothing to do with PS Plus, it's just a free game, so go and download it if you have a PlayStation, or even just a PlayStation account. You can just create one and get it, I don't know. There you go. Epic Games gets its weekly refresh as well. It's still War Game Red Dragon, worst name ever. Anyway, until March 12th, but then it ticks over to Surviving Mars, a city builder type game set on Elon Musk's home planet. This game also got a Steam release and it's sitting at 88% positive over there, so it must be doing something right. Grab it free on Epic when you can. And finally, our feel-good story for the week comes courtesy of Valheim, because that's all my brain can really process right now. Valheim is a game where you can work for like 100 hours or more to kit out your character, but if you die somewhere really out of the way or really dangerous, it's very hard to get your gear back, to the point where you might just have to recraft all of it, or just rage quit the game, which is certainly what some people are doing. Enter the Valheim Body Recovery Squad, a dedicated group of Viking raiders who will help you recover your body. You log into their Discord server, throw up an SOS flag, and after that, a squad of kitted out alpha dogs will rock up on your server, escort you to your corpse, and get you back to safety. The whole thing is entirely free of charge. It's just some friendly Vikings helping each other out, which is what Vikings were always known for. Being really friendly. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the week in video games. If you enjoyed yourself, then please drop a like on the video or leave a positive review in your podcast platform thing, whatever. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss a Stadia roast. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in Valheim. I'll see you next week. If you have a hobby, a business idea, or you just want to share things with the world, then a website is a must, and there's no easier way to make a website than through Squarespace. Squarespace offers tools so easy to use that in just minutes, you can create a professional looking website. Log in, select one of their custom design templates, configure it to your taste, host it with Squarespace, and boom, you are up and running in no time. To get started, visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to get serious, visit squarespace.com/skillup for a 10% discount on your first purchase of a website or a domain name. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching it. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down so I know to do better for next time. If you enjoyed yourself, consider subscribing, and if you really enjoyed yourself, maybe consider hitting that notification bell so you never miss a video. You can see my patrons here on the left. They're awesome. They're amazing. If you want to join them, check out my Patreon page. Thank you again. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.